Ever get the feeling that, like, there's more to life than meets the eye? Like
Right.
something deeper is going on.
Definitely.
That's what we're diving into today, right?
Yeah.
The Romani spiritual tradition and how it shows up in Kimbanda, which is uh, Afro-Brazilian. We're going to find some surprises there.
It is really interesting how these two very vibrant traditions come together.
Yeah, Kimbanda itself is already a blend of different African traditional religions, plus indigenous beliefs from Brazil, and even some European influences. But when you add the Romani spirits in there, it really becomes something special.
Yeah, it's like this whole layer of magic that you don't really expect.
Hmm.
But it's there. So for our listeners who are just tuning in, could you give us a little background on Kimbanda itself? Sure, Kimbanda. It's rooted in African traditions that were brought over with the transatlantic slave trade. And it's a belief system where the spirit world is very present in everyday life, and the spirits can offer us guidance for navigating like the ups and downs and everything.
And within that system are the Romani spirits, right? And
Yeah.
these aren't like representations of the Romani people. These are actual spirits that lived.
Right.
That blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah, it really shows how inclusive Kimbanda is as a tradition and how it's always kind of evolving and embracing new influences. And the Romani people, with their history and their really deep connection to the spiritual realm, they really bring something really special.
Okay, so let's break that down a bit. When we talk about the Romani spirits in Kimbanda, what are we talking about? What defines them?
Well, the first thing that I think of is this deep love of freedom.
Oh,
Freedom from being put in a box, societal expectations.
right.
And they really encourage us to find our own intuition, and trust that to guide us through life, to make our own path.
And that's something I think a lot of people can relate to, that like desire to not be ordinary, to not be put in a box, to find their own way.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's like one of the biggest things that they offer?
Definitely. I think they really embody that because they lived outside of the boundaries that we're used to, and they bring that energy to their spiritual guidance.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about trusting yourself more than anything and having the courage to follow your own heart.
That's a really powerful message because the world is constantly trying to put us into boxes.
Yeah. And this is about not doing that. It's about being who you truly are.
So it's not just like external freedom, it's internal freedom.
Yes, exactly. It's about breaking free from limitations, your own limitations, and stepping into who you really are. And it starts by listening to your own self.
And that kind of leads into my next thought, which is this wisdom and guidance that the Romani spirits offer. They're sought after for advice about life's big questions. What kind of wisdom are we talking about?
Well, if you think about it, they traveled all over the place. They were exposed to tons of different cultures and different ways of life, different traditions. So they really were open to learning and soaking up all this knowledge, and then they bring all of that to us.
So it's almost like they have this really unique perspective because they were able to experience the world from all these different angles.
Exactly. And they use that knowledge to guide us on our own journey. So if you're struggling with purpose, if you're struggling with love, with crossroads, all of that stuff, they can offer really good advice.
It's like having a friend who's seen it all and can kind of give you that outside perspective.
Exactly.
Now, I have to ask about the magic because there's this air of mystery and magic surrounding the Romani people. What about divination and fortune telling?
The Romani people are very connected to the mystical arts. I mean, you've probably heard of, for example, cartomancy.
Right, with the cards.
Exactly, using the cards to get insight into the past, present, and future. They're also known for using crystal balls, reading palms, lots of different practices.
That's so interesting. So it's like they have this ability to tap into something beyond what we normally see. What is it about that they're trying to get to?
Well, I think it comes from a deep understanding that we're not just physical, right? We also have a spiritual side.
Okay.
And the Romani spirits understand that there's this whole other dimension that plays a role in our lives. And they offer us these tools that can help us access that wisdom.
So it's not about like, will I win the lottery tomorrow?
Yeah, really.
It's more about getting clarity.
Exactly. And making good decisions in your life.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's about understanding the energies around you so you can make more informed choices.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've talked about their connection to freedom, their wisdom, their mastery of divination. How does this play out in Kimbanda? If we were to go to a ceremony, what would we see?
It's very lively and vibrant, lots of dancing and music, and the offerings are amazing.
And it's a party.
It really is. It's a celebration of life and this connection and just this really vibrant energy. You might see, rich red wine, symbolic of life force and passion. There will be baskets and baskets of fruit like grapes and apples, abundance, the sweetness of life.
That sounds amazing.
And then you've got the visuals. You might see gold and silver coins, prosperity,
Yeah.
right? Because they're not afraid to enjoy, the material world.
Right.
Bright cloths on the altar, candles, the air is thick with perfume, incense.
Wow. It's really appealing to all the senses.
It really is, yeah. And amidst all of that vibrancy, you'll almost always see red roses,
Of course.
symbolizing passion, love, that fire.
Right, right. Yeah, it's really interesting how these offerings really paint a picture. It's not just symbolic. It's like you're really trying to create a connection.
Yeah, you're inviting their energy in. You're acknowledging that they're there, showing respect.
So it's through this that you can actually, the music and the dance and the offerings, that you can tap into the energy.
Exactly. Create that space.
So speaking of that, you mentioned earlier cartomancy, using the cards. Can you give us an example of what that would look like if you were seeking their guidance?
Sure. Let's say you have a big decision coming up in your career.
Okay.
You could go to somebody who works with the Romani spirits, and they would use the cards and they would lay them out, different spreads. Each card has a different meaning. And through that, they can kind of glean, what's going on, what are the different possibilities, what should you watch out for, and give you advice on your best course of action.
So it's like having a map.
Yeah, sort of.
Right. It's not necessarily telling you exactly what to do, but giving you more information so you can make a good decision.
Exactly. It's not about, saying this is what's going to happen, but this is what could happen. You still have free will.
It's interesting how that ties back into the freedom. Even when you're asking for guidance, you
Yes.
still have the freedom to make your own choices.
Right. And that's a powerful message. It's not about being passive. It's about, no, you are a powerful being. You can create your own future.
That's awesome. So we've been talking about this as a group, but are there any specific figures within this tradition?
Yeah, there are a lot of really well-known figures, and they all have their own kind of energy, but one in particular that comes to mind is Cigano Pablo.
Tell me about him.
Yeah, he's kind of seen as a leader, a wise elder in the Romani spirit world, and he's really connected to, justice, fairness, truth. But he's also sought after for guidance on prosperity and abundance, particularly when it comes to money.
Oh, okay. So if you're looking to, create a better life financially,
Hmm.
he would be a good one to connect with.
Exactly, but he's all about doing it in a way that is in line with your values.
Okay.
Not just about, being greedy, it's about sharing the wealth.
It's about more than money.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have Cigano Pablo. Are there any others?
Yeah, there's Cigana Esmeralda.
Okay.
She's really interesting. She's associated with love, beauty, sensuality. She's the ultimate heart healer. She wants you to experience love in all its forms.
Oh, that's great. What kind of guidance does she give?
She's really good with, if you want to attract love into your life, or maybe heal from past relationships that didn't go so well, or if you want to kind of rekindle the flame, she can help you with that. She reminds us that we all deserve love.
It's like having a really good friend that can, that understands those things.
Exactly.
So we've got Cigano Pablo and Cigana Esmeralda. Who else is there?
Well, you can't talk about this tradition without mentioning Cigano Wladimir.
Okay, what sets them apart?
He's the protector, He's associated with strength and courage and spiritual defense.
Oh, okay.
So if you're going through a hard time, facing some challenges or obstacles, he's the one that you want to call in. He helps you tap into that strength, that resilience.
It's like they each have their own specialty.
Exactly. And you can work with the one that calls to you, the one that maybe aligns with what you need right now.
It's about finding that personal connection. It's not just one thing.
It's about, finding what speaks to your soul.
As we've been talking about this, I keep thinking about joy.
Oh, yeah.
That seems like a big part of this tradition, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that more?
For sure. I mean, it's so central to who they are. They embraced freedom, they embraced adventure, and they found so much joy in, the simple things, music and dancing, just being together, connecting with nature.
It's about being present.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not some far off thing you're trying to get to. It's like how you live.
So they teach us to enjoy every day the simple things.
Yeah. Savor a meal, have a dance party, just appreciate what's around you, Live fully.
It's that zest for life. It's really inspiring. Like they challenge us to kind of go for it,
Absolutely. They were pioneers. They did their own thing, even when people told them not to, And they teach us that freedom is about going into the unknown and trusting that it'll all work out.
We're not supposed to just sit on the sidelines. We're supposed to dive in.
Exactly. Embrace the adventure.
I love that.
Right.
So as we finish up this deep dive, what's one thing you want our listeners to remember about the Romani people in Kimbanda?
I think the most important thing is that they really want you to live your life to the fullest, you know? And to do that, trust your gut, follow your passions, and find that joy every single day. Be yourself, you know? Don't be afraid to be who you are and just embrace the unknown.
That's beautiful. So listeners, as you go through your day, ask yourself, where can I add a little bit of that spirit to my own life?
Yeah.
Is it in your relationships, your career? And think about those figures we talked about. See who you connect with and see what advice they might have for you.
That's a good practice.
And until next time, keep learning and exploring and live life to the fullest.